Isn't one of the scary things with the GMO foods is that there's still so much unknown since it's a relatively new science or practice, I guess?
Well, I know some of the research did mention that. We're almost playing Russian roulette with our own bodies. Because see, I think this is the key out of all of it. Genetically engineered seeds cannot replicate themselves. That's the key. If they could replicate themselves, Lord knows what's going to happen. I believe there's an old there's a story called the 100th monkey, and a monkey. There's 100 monkeys on an island, and one monkey ate the banana and peeled the banana. There'll be a point in our society, all of a sudden, this genetically engineered food is going to catch up with us, and there's going to be like a generation. We're going to have all these abnormal birth defects, and what's going to happen? They'll never, in their minds initially, won't trace it back to the food, but going to just a genetically modified wheat. The wheat today has a lot of gluten in it. Gluten is the protein that's found in wheat. That gluten has two things it can cause a challenge with. Gluten will plug the villi in the intestines. The little villi are shaped like this. So your intestines cannot absorb minerals, for example, iron. That gluten, also being a protein, can cause a reaction in the body, and someone could have loose stools. So let's talk about celiac disease for a minute, tracing it back to genetically engineered. The only official way to diagnose celiac disease is to have a biopsy. And when they look at that biopsy, the skin or the epithelium of the intestines is denuded from villi. That means it's gone. And I read research that it could be 8 or 9 years and that villi will still stay away. It doesn't necessarily grow back. 41% of the people in the United States today have the genes for celiac disease, but only 1% of the people actually have the condition itself. I know that a part of that whole issue has to do with genetically engineered wheat, or gluten, that's in wheat, rye, oats, and barley. But here's something to ponder. Measles, mumps, and rubella shot. Mumps, parotid gland. Digestion starts in the mouth. MMRs. I'm just throwing this out. Quite interesting. If your parotid gland is not secreting the enzymes to break down wheat and starches, is it impacting the rest of the body? I don't know. Amalgams in the mouth paralyze the parotid gland. Is it an issue? Possibly. I'm going to tell you a story. All my stories are true, by the way. I had a young man that came into my practice. He was not a young man, he was my age. Came into the office. He had chronic anemia. Now listen to this. This is so significant. Chronic anemia. Been to the world's famous clinics. Nobody could figure out what's going on. And he happened to go to first grade with me. So years later, he came in, and I looked at him, and I said, let's just